to the 12th episode of Zooming In with Gen Z. I'm your host, Haley Taylor Schlitz. Thanks for being here. Before we get started, I would like to remind you all to please like, share, comment, follow, and subscribe. Not only does this help you stay up on our fantastic conversations, but it allows the algorithm to do its thing so others can tune in too. First, I would like to take a moment to remember those Americans who lost their lives on September 11, 2001. Most of Gen Z was not even born when 9/11 happened. But like most Gen Zers, we have heard the stories from parents and loved ones about how that day shaped their lives. We remember and will never forget those who died, and we offer our love to the families who lost loved ones that day. Now, if you're Gen Z, stop scrolling. You need to hear this news. Sugarland TikTok star helps take down abortion reporting website. Let's watch the TikTok clip first.
Do you want to mess with the Republicans who just took away a woman's right to choose in the state of Texas? As many of you know, abortion has pretty much been outlawed in the state of Texas. This legislation also empowers private citizens to sue a woman or anyone who has helped her have an abortion after the 6-week term for $10,000. And how are they investigating this? With an anonymous tip website. If you go to prolifewhistleblower.com, you can submit an anonymous tip that would lead to an investigation of a woman here in Texas. Or you could submit something else. You could submit something like this. A picture of Ted Cruz in gym clothes. Or my personal favorite, a picture of Governor Greg Abbott playing a fiddle surrounded by the Delta variant. Abortion is healthcare, and every woman has the right to choose. Now, the website has been going up and down for the last couple of days because so many people have been sending in fake tips, but couldn't hurt to try. Do with this information what you will.
Hear this quote from ABC 13 News. In an interview with Eyewitness News, Olivia Juliana promised the fight is far from over. She is the outspoken Fort Bend County teenager who garnered millions of views on TikTok. Texas Right to Life, which helped pass the Texas ban on abortions once a fetal heartbeat is detected, launched prolifewhistleblower.com as a way for anyone to anonymously report violations of the new law. Texas's new abortion law allows anyone to sue those who performed an abortion or helped someone access the procedure for at least $10,000. Lawmakers and activists designed the measure to financially cripple doctors and clinics. So far, the threat of lawsuits has restricted access to abortions in the second most populous state in America. Following growing pressure, GoDaddy.com, which was hosting the site, ended its relationship with the Houston-based organization. When this bill was passed, I was absolutely mortified, said Olivia Juliana. My goal with my TikTok videos and speaking out about these issues is to protect the women who've now had a bounty put on their heads for $10,000 and fight for women to get their rights to bodily autonomy back. I second all of what she said. You guys, we need to support this work by Olivia. Make sure you are doing everything you can to fight for a woman's right to choose. From running for an elected office to submitting Ted Cruz in gym clothes. It is all impactful. Hundreds of explicit TikToks on drug addiction and sex fetishes to 13-year-olds. Yikes. Hear this quote from The Insider. TikTok dishes out drug-related and sexually explicit content to minors, a recent investigation by the Wall Street Journal found. Using dozens of automated bots that were registered as users between the ages of 13 and 15, the publication found that TikTok provided the accounts with sources of videos promoting rape, drugs, and sexual fantasies, including some depicting caregivers and children. Teens make up the largest group of TikToks, about 100 million monthly active users. Last year, minors accounted for over a quarter of the app's users, according to data from the company. An earlier investigation by the Journal found that TikTok curates a user's For You page based on the content that a user lingers on within the feed. Using the same methodology, the bots that lingered on content featuring drugs quickly saw their For You page become taken over by nearly 600 videos featuring drug-related content. The journal said that the For You page went down a rabbit hole of content advertising how to get drugs, as well as outside links to web pages selling illegal substances. That is horrifying. TikTok, you can't rely on algorithms for everything. You have to monitor your app. You have to make sure that what is on the For You page is acceptable, especially if you're dishing it out to minors. On a lighter note, dog goes viral on TikTok after enjoying the secret In-N-Out item. We all know about secret menus restaurants have. But did you know that your pup can also join in on this? Take a look at this clip from MASH.
You know that your dog can eat at In-N-Out? What if I told you there's a secret dog menu at some of your favorite fast food joints? That's right, many fast food places have a secret dog menu. That's right, a secret dog menu. Like In-N-Out. Next time you go through this fast food restaurant, all you need to do is ask for...
And then can I get a pup patty?
And your dog gets to enjoy a meal with you. The pup patty is a simple, unsalted, broiled hamburger that your dog will love. There's no denying that Hige loved it. And the best thing about the secret dog menus is that they're free. Do you want to see more secret dog menus? Let us know.
They're free. That is so cute. My dogs love the pup cup that Freddy's gives out. I know they will definitely be wanting me to take them to In-N-Out for one of those pup patties. If you take your dog out for a treat, post it on social media and tag us. We would love to see. Now we all know what time it is. Interview time. Today, we are fortunate to have more than one guest join us to discuss an important action by high school students to stand up to racism in their schools. In Colleyville, Texas, the Colleyville Grapevine Independent School District made the decision recently to suspend Dr. James Whitfield, principal of Colleyville Heritage High School. The reason why, you ask? Well, it all started in 2019 when Dr. Whitfield posted pictures on Facebook of him kissing his wife to celebrate their anniversary. Sounds harmless, right? But not when you're a Black man married to a white woman. More recently, far-right activists in Colleyville showed up at a meeting of the Colleyville Grapevine ISD and accused Dr. Whitfield of being pro-critical race theory. Yes, it seems teaching the truth about American history, especially around areas of race, is just something many adults are not willing to embrace. With all the attacks by adults, it's always the adults in the school system who are the problem. One group has stood up for Dr. Whitfield. Yep, you know who it is, the students. Today, I am honored to have joining us some of the students from Colleyville who are standing up to support Dr. Whitfield and to say no to racism in their community. Please welcome our guests. Thank you for joining us, Sanjera and Samantha. Hi, guys.
Hi.
So we will start by talking about the issues around the suspension of Principal Dr. Whitfield. He was appointed the first Black principal of Colleyville this year, correct?
Correct, yes.
Correct.
Yeah, so the very first one, and of course all of this happens. It seems the initial attack on Dr. Whitfield is because he is in an interracial marriage. He posted professional pictures of him and his wife in 2019 to celebrate their anniversary, and someone in the community complained about him, and the Colleyville Grapevine School District asked them to take them down from Facebook. Is that really what happened?
Yes.
So did he end up taking it down?
He did not. Rightfully so, he believed that the attacks on his marriage and the pictures were an inane infringement on his personal rights and his personal privacy. So the photos were left up and they were completely in good faith. They were simply celebrating the anniversary of him and his wife, and if anything showed the importance of family and love, and instead these were misconstrued to degrade his value as an educator and being around children.
Yeah.
Yes. They were nice professional photos and they were on his personal Facebook page, and they would not have been an issue, I don't think, if it was two white people.
Yeah.
But because it was an interracial relationship, people didn't like it.
Of course. Yeah. More recently, a failed candidate for Colleyville Grapevine ISD Board of Education appeared at a meeting of the school board on July 26, 2021, and said during his public comments that a letter from Principal Whitfield promotes the conspiracy theory of systematic racism. He is encouraging the disruption and destruction of our districts. What are you guys' thoughts on this? What are the students' thoughts on this? And how has this impacted your action since it's pretty recent?
Stetson Clark, he spoke at the July 26th board meeting, and he ended up inciting the crowd to chant, "Fire him, fire him." You're not supposed to bring up individual in the community's name, but he brought up Dr. Whitfield's name and asked the board to fire him, a board that he ran for and lost. And just hearing an uproar of so many people to chant fire him when it wasn't even in the agenda, just I think made all of our bloods boil.
Absolutely.
And I think it's important to note that although Stetson Clark did lose the election, it wasn't a substantial margin that he lost by. So it is evident that there are people in this community who espouse the same beliefs that he does. Whether they are more loud about it as he is, it's still extremely harmful that an individual that can purport these kinds of beliefs has gained so much support in our community to even be able to do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just listening to you guys talk, I'm just like, I'm feeling my blood boil too as I hear you guys talking. And I think so many of our Gen Z viewers and students will also relate to that. You don't have to be a student in the district to be like, what even is this, you know? But speaking of students and student responses, I want to get more into that. Can you share with us when students first started talking about what was going on with Principal Whitfield? Like when you first started noticing it and like digesting what was happening?
Well, the board meetings are public YouTube videos, and I was overseas, but my mom sent me the link, and I was so outraged. And some people put it on their Instagrams, and we started planning a protest at the next school board meeting in support of Dr. Whitfield. And we had our first planning meeting out in like the community park on August 6th, and we had 2 other ones of just brainstorming, making signs. And I would say that slowly more students heard about it until about like a day before there was a pep rally, and we made flyers and we handed them out to almost everyone at school about the protest and like what time, the address, and just the information in general.
Yeah, that's really important. That's really important. Was August 6th the first like collective student action that happened, or were there other ones that kind of built up to it?
I would say that is our first collective action. The complaints against Dr. Whitfield's Facebook photos happened in 2019, and they were, again, kind of viewed as unreasonable. So for the most part, that had gotten swept under the rug. Then with the Stetson Clark issue, these complaints resurfaced, and it all kind of snowballed and got into things like media. And I think that's how a lot of students started finding out that their principal had gotten under attack by members of this community. And it was a very like surprising situation for everyone, I think, because Dr. Whitfield, he stands at the front doors every single day. He'll stand there every single passing period saying hello to all of the students, asking how they are. He has handshakes with students that he's memorized over the years, and everybody just feels a really personal connection to him. So the fact that he had been questioned about his validity as an educator, it really took everyone by surprise, because we as students know that's not even something worthy of debate. We know it as fact that he is a valid and just completely reputable educator as he is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see as you were talking, the little like, because this is on being on live on Facebook too, and you can like react with different reactions. There's a little mad face, and as you were talking, it just like went up and up, like more mad faces. And I just completely agree. Like if I could put a mad face, like it would be right here. I agree. I mean the protests, watching them have been amazing. I've seen the stories on the news about the protests on campus during a pep rally and the recent walkout. Has the support been growing, and are more students feeling that their voice is important in this public discussion? Or do you feel like, you know, students are starting to get scared and like quiet down? Like how is this response going as time has progressed?
I would definitely say support has been growing. At our first collective action, we like protested in support of him outside the school board meeting on August, I think, 23rd. And there was about 30 or 40 students there. And then a week or two later at the homecoming game pep rally, we all sat down during the alma mater, and a bunch more students spread the word and sat down. And then for the walkouts that we had on Thursday and Friday, we had, I'd say, over 100 people walked out at both of them. So more and more students are hearing about it. They're spreading it to their friends, and support is definitely increasing.
Yeah, and of course, as the issue gets more publicity, it's kind of like a bifurcating road. There's growing support as more people hear about the issue, understand the inequities that are present, and are more cognizant of the issue overall, considering race and critical race theory. And on the same hand, we do have a lot of, I mean, I don't want to pin this solely on adults, but there have been some older members in the community who have been using fear-mongering tactics to scare a lot of the students into not participating, whether they believe in the issue or not.
It's awful. That's on so many levels absolutely inappropriate and terrible. And I see like the comments, like I said, as you guys are talking, like it's just like bashing Texas, and I just can't even help but agree. Like, this is just terrible. Texas, like the laws, the governor, the special like session and everything. Like it's just all of it. It signifies that Texas has some growing to do. Speaking of, like you just mentioned, the teachers responded to the activism by the students, like just blatantly, like if you participate, like you'll get this bad grade, or like has there been anything like that from the teachers on your activism?
Sort of, yeah. Some teachers and coaches are threatening to kick students out of their organizations or to bench them at games. Other teachers are of course being much more nice about it, but they're like, they can't come out and immediately say they support us. But yeah, a lot of students have had problems where if they walked out, like a lot of teachers wouldn't let them make up a quiz or test because it's an unexcused absence, even though that's never been a thing before.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, and the teachers and faculty have already been told that this isn't an issue that they can publicly garner support either way on. However, I think more so people that support Dr. Whitfield have been kind of shoved into remaining silent, as opposed to those that are against what we were doing. There have been teachers that have called us immature. We have teachers who are saying that we will make no difference because this isn't where decisions are being made. However, I think they failed to consider that we did protest at a school board meeting, and we had 30, 40 students give testimonies in support of Dr. Whitfield, criticizing the scrutinization he's been under. And we got absolutely no response from the school board, and they put Dr. Whitfield on leave just exactly a week later after our protest. So I think we do understand the logistics of how to get ourselves heard, and we did believe that walking out of school was the way to garner that kind of support that we needed, that attention that we needed to actually shed some light about this issue outside of the vacuum of Colleyville, Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. And it's been working. Like I said, I've seen stories nationally on things that are happening, like these things that are happening in Colleyville. So your voices are definitely being heard. It is impactful. Those teachers don't know what they're talking about. And I see the comments too are agreeing. Like they're saying like, oh, we're so proud of you. Like everybody is very proud of you guys. It's activism and inspiration, like just being an inspiration. And it's definitely working. So don't listen to that. And then speaking of like comment responses, public responses, how has the community responded to the activism by the students? I know I see a lot of stories. Have you guys received specific support from, specific people in the community, organizations in the community? Has it been silent? Like, how has that looked?
It has very much ranged. A lot of Facebook, some groups are supportive. There are certain Facebook groups that are very against. While we were doing the walkout, some parents would drive by and like honk a bunch to show their support. But what was recently, we found out that this like local channel called us like Dr. Wokefield and his wokelings. And they played a clip of Sonara talking, and they called her the chief wokeling. and they were just completely bashing it. And they didn't even get his name right. They thought his name was Dr. Wakefield, and it's Dr. Whitfield. But yeah, so definitely mixed, but there are a lot of people in the community against and a lot of people for.
I'm sure they felt really creative with it too. They're like, you guys are gonna be the wokelings, and she's gonna be the chief wokeling, and we really got all this tied down. Like, yeah, I'm sure they were really proud of themselves too. They just sound ridiculous. As a former public school student in a community close to Colleyville, I was in Keller, Texas. I know my friends and I have stories of the microaggressions and other just blatant acts of racism that we all experienced. With this activism around Principal Dr. Whitfield, are students starting to share their own experiences, like whether it be racism in school or maybe not even in school, just their experiences in general relating to discrimination? If so, can you share maybe some that you've heard with us and our viewers?
Absolutely. Myself, I didn't even consider speaking out about my experiences with racism and Islamophobia until this year when I saw Dr. Whitfield being attacked, and I realized the importance of not staying silent, of not forcing myself to fall into that box. And I mean, considering the date, it is important. I feel like it is important to mention that while I have so much respect for the people who lost loved ones on 9/11, there was also a huge attack to the Muslim community following 9/11 and this surge of Islamophobia. And I experienced that all throughout middle school, of people asking why my father did 9/11, and other just baseless attacks. We have students coming out about their experiences being called abhorrent nicknames, like Native American students being called Trail of Tears as a way to mock their histories. And I think that just highlights the importance of why these issues about race need to come into schools. Trying to silence people of color on their own histories, it's just a tactic used by white supremacy to make sure that we don't understand and comprehend our own oppression, but instead be subjugated to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's like one of the things about the suppression on critical race theory and teaching it. It's not a conspiracy theory. Like, there is systematic racism, and it's important to discuss. So I mean, there's a question later, but it really seems all connected. There's been a lot of national attention brought to the issue, as we talked about, and that's amazing, very necessary, on what's going on in South Lake Carroll ISD, what's going on in Colleyville ISD, just about critical race theory. Same here in my area of Keller ISD, actually, too. Like I said, the question was coming up: do you see all of these things being connected, or do you think that these are just different, like just white supremacy showing itself in different forms, or are they all like intertwined? What do you think?
I
just want to say I definitely think that they're connected. And in our area of like North Texas and like Fort Worth County, there's a group called the Tea Party, and I think they changed their name to maybe True Texan Party, but they're a group of far-right Republicans that are definitely the reason why there's been so many issues with this. And at South Lake Carroll, the group that is fighting for change, SARC, have actually been very helpful to us and like given us tips and like shared what's going on at our school on their social medias, and we've been very appreciative.
Yeah. And I absolutely do think it's intertwined, because that, as much as they want to attack us for using collectivism to amplify our voices, that kind of dominance of white supremacy that's been occurring, it is largely in part due to their numbers. There's so many of them that are willing to speak out and just disseminate this hateful rhetoric and vitriol. And even if there are members of the community that choose not to speak out in support of either side, it just kind of contributes to that evasiveness around the issue. People who believe that their voices won't make a difference, it's contributing to the fact that these people are using their voices, and they're using them to be hateful and harmful. And if we don't speak out against it, they're just going to keep winning school board elections and winning governor elections and so on.
Yep. Using your voice and your vote. They're both equally important, and protesting to the polls, that's a key. So I second that. I hope our viewers are listening. It's like really important. And then like this entire conversation, you know, we've seen like this is a broader issue of hate and racism in Texas that is just on the rise, honestly. Just watching the recent special session our state legislature had, and the governor signing laws to make it harder to vote, like we just said, attacking critical race theory and the truth being taught about our history of our nation in the schools, like we just talked about, and a woman's right to control her own body. Do you feel these issues require us as Gen Z to take more action and raise our voices against these attacks? We like are just reaching the age of being able to vote, but what do you think about just our activism and protesting? Like, just any ideas or comments?
1000%. We really cannot let these individuals silence us. I mean, part of the reason we were so passionate about the walkout is because they had put Dr. Whitfield on leave after ignoring our protest. And we don't want to let them silence us.
Yeah.
I think these new laws that have been passed that are basically promoting disenfranchisement are, whether they would like to admit it or not, are in response to the record voter turnouts by Gen Z and by these by largely Black communities. I mean, figures like Stacey Abrams, Cori Bush, that have been so influential in the election of Biden over Trump, they're responding and trying to silence our voices because they know we can make a difference.
Yes, and voter registration has been something super important that we've thought about ever since the beginning. We had it at the protest we did at the school board meeting. We had a lady that could register people to vote because voting age in Texas is 17 and 10 months. And the fact that the reason all this started again was Stetson Clark, who I think only lost by a small margin in the runoff for school boards. So not only do big elections matter, but local elections matter. And one of the school board members that recently got elected, place one, Shannon Braun, she had a speech where she was anti-social justice and anti-equity. And that just shows that as Gen Z, once we're voting age, we need to register and we need to vote in local elections against people like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our voice is way more important than I think a lot of people know. And using your vote and using your voice, that is going to be key to being the change that you want to see in the future. You know, it's really, your vote matters. And, you know, I hope our Gen Z viewers are listening to that. Just listening to everything that you guys have said, you guys are doing truly amazing and heroic work to stand up and speak out on this issue in Colleyville Grapevine ISD. Just based on your experiences and your passion, what advice would you share with our peers in Gen Z about being willing to stand up against acts of injustice in our own communities?
It's extremely important. It's extremely important. No matter what you do, especially where we live and in our community has a very strong presence of Republicans that do not want change. You should not be afraid of them. You should, if you see injustice, you should speak up on it, no matter the circumstance. And yeah.
And really seek out those ways to get your voice out there. It's definitely scary at first, but you can just find a few friends and start speaking at things like school board meetings. It may not feel like it'll make a huge difference, but that's where we started too. It was just, showing up to school board meetings and speaking about things we were passionate about, like enforcing mask mandates. And if we didn't have that experience and the knowledge that we were allowed to participate in those things in the first place, I don't think we would be where we are now. And it may feel very difficult at times, but it's important to know that the way these people that spread these hateful words stay in power is because they try and keep this kind of information from the people they know would oppose them. they don't want us to know that we can speak at meetings, that we can make a difference by voting them out. And it's important that we show them that we're not going to let their myth making and misinformation control our opinions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think for Gen Z listening, like just the hardest part in anything that you're doing, but this too is like really getting started, knowing where you can connect, knowing where you can get the information on how to connect, what you can do, how you can raise your voice. It's definitely like, once you get the ball rolling, it'll definitely be easier to get engaged and speak up and speak out. So definitely listen to that advice. And I guess the next natural question is, what's going to happen next? I mean, I heard that Principal Dr. Whitfield could lose his job as early as Monday. Do you know what's going to happen next? Do you have your predictions?
Yes, they declared that there's going to be a special session school board meeting this Monday in 2 days, and we plan to definitely have a presence at it and to get as many students as want to go to speak during the open session about their experiences in general, like with racism, or their positive experiences with Dr. Whitfield, and their outrage towards him being put on paid administrative leave and potentially fired. And we plan to not only help students sign up to speak, but also just to be outside with a presence protesting in support of him.
And at our recent walkout, we had a bunch of students giving just testimonies about their experiences with Dr. Whitfield, just at their discretion. And we had several students who are part of marginalized communities that had felt so seen by having such a positive influence as their principal. And that kind of representation was so important to them. So to have Dr. Whitfield be in the position that he's been forced into, it really sends a message to those students, to the students of marginalized communities in this area, about what the district values, about what the district thinks about them and their feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're talking, more mad faces came, and it just makes me excited, because on a previous episode we were talking about turning your rage into motivation and turning your rage into action. And I love the first step, though, is being enraged. And the question I asked on the episode, if you're not mad, you have to ask yourself what's wrong. So it's like, the first step is being upset, being enraged. And I see the mad faces and it gets me excited, because that's the first step. And turning rage into action, how can other students of Gen Z support you in the work you're doing? Are there social media accounts, websites? I know there's like a little banner scrolling at the bottom, but if there's any specific, things you want to shout out, please do, because our viewers will definitely want to back you guys up.
Definitely, yes. We have an Instagram that is on the bottom. SOSA Voices, Student Organization for Social Advocacy. That's what SOSA stands for. But yes, definitely follow that and share and shed information.
Good. Absolutely. I hope that they are listening. And if not, it's at the bottom. But, take notes, because this is really important. And I know they're all going to want to be engaged. I definitely am engaged, and I'm going to do as much as I can to help you guys out. And I hope that you guys get even more national coverage on this, because this is really important and it needs to be heard. And that was the last question. I'm so thankful for you guys joining us today. I hope you know that we all stand with you in your fight for justice. Your inspiring activism is activating so many other students to not only support you guys, but to speak out in their own community. So thank you for being role models.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, guys. What an important conversation. I hope you guys took notes. And if not, lucky for you, this is not only live, it'll be posted. But, lesson learned, you take notes. As usual, we will close out our show with a segment called Zooming In. Let's take a look at who's being magnified for being magnificent. On Thursday of this week, the Center for Black Educator Development launched a national campaign to address the lack of teacher diversity in our nation's schools. Their We Need Black Teachers campaign launched on social media and raised awareness of the need to recruit and retain Black teachers. Research by Johns Hopkins University and American University, published in 2018, shows that Black students who have just had one Black teacher by the third grade are 13% more likely to enroll in college, and those who had 2 Black teachers were 32% more likely. The number of Black teachers in the U.S. public school system need to grow by 280,000 to be proportionate to the number of Black public school students. This is a significant number of teachers that need to be recruited. As any member of Gen Z will likely share with you, we know firsthand what it means to navigate an education system that has few, if any, teachers and administrators who look like us and can relate to our experiences. We understand the microaggressions and blatant acts of racism we encounter at public, charter, and private schools. The call to action and work being done by the Center for Black Educator Development is important, and it deserves our support. So thank you for being magnificent. Your Zoom call to action, you may be wondering, I'm about to tell you. Celebrate any Black teachers you know. Email them, DM them, post about them on your feeds and stories, text them, call them, appreciate them. We need our Black teachers to know that their impact is seen and valued. Use the hashtag #WeNeedBlackTeachers when you post. Also, you can tag us if you want. We want to see. Oh, check that out. It definitely gives you more information, and it's really important that you take this Zoom call to action to heart and actually do it, because we do need Black teachers. Also, visit the WeNeedBlackTeachers.com and see how you can help create the diverse teachers we need to ensure that all children thrive. So take that Zoom call to action to heart. It's not even that hard. And I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. Episode 12 of Zooming In with Gen Z is all wrapped up. Thanks so much for joining us today. Please like, share, comment, follow, and subscribe for more. And plus, when you do that, it allows others to check out our conversations too. In 2 weeks, we will be back here at 2 p.m. Central Time with some important news and an important person. An easy way to remember is 2 twice. 2 weeks, 2 p.m. Central Time. A shout out of thanks to Citizen Ed for providing us with this platform to talk about the issues we care about. See you guys in 2 weeks. All right, how do I zoom out on this thing?